What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another No More Future. Yep. Calm down, Corrupted Kingdoms will still upload. Calm down. Yeah, rather I will. About Corrupted Kingdoms. But yeah, welcome back. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share it to your friends. If you're not new, watch this video up to the end or watch my other videos. Other than that, let's get back to the game. Yeah, you got me on that one. I couldn't stand being cooped up in the lab for any longer. Not while you hesitate to speak your mind any further. Let's just say I still have some things I need to do out there. Wait a minute, the mic needs to be a little bit higher for me. Okay, there we go. I totally understand. Either way, I'm happy that your request was approved. Given that you're the first synthetic to try and coexist alongside regular humans, there's a lot of potential data. Sorry, I got a burp. There's a lot of potential data that could be gathered through you that wouldn't have been available in a lab environment. Available. I don't know, I'm laughing because I just said a random word that sounded like the word available. Is that why you're so excited? Well, I'm mainly happy that you got what you wanted. However, as a scientist, the prospect of new intel to be learned is also very exciting. You can't really fault her for that. Your reason, after all, if it wasn't you stuck in a limbo between life and death, you'd probably find your circumstances quite interesting yourself. You figure it'd be polite to offer some assistance to the helpful Labrador in her endeavor. How would I go about gathering all this intel for you? You can help us just by living a regular life, which just so happens to be one of the main things we're aiming for with this project. It'd be pointless to live forever if the rest of the world shunned you away at every turn. That's why we need people like you proving to the humans out there that you're just the same as them. You should just try to lead a normal life as close as to what you had before your transition. That's all we can ask for you. And I'll be here to help you should anything come up. I see. It's definitely a much better arrangement than I first gave it credit for back at the hospital. Yup, and of course, as you go about living your life, it's possible that people's perception of synthetics will improve. That might inspire other synthetics to step out into the world as well. I'd love to have you meet other people like you in the future, even though right now they live so far away. I'm sure that would do wonders for your morale. I don't know about that. I'm not great when it comes to formal meetups like that. Oh, it wouldn't be formal or anything, just a casual little meet and greet between the android bros. Help you get accustomed to each other as well as humans. I don't know. I feel like it'd be far easier for me to invite you out for lunch than another synthetic I never even heard of before. You only realize what you just said after Natalie does. Whoa, did you just ask me out? No. I was just trying to make an example. The Labrador laughs off your embarrassment, though her cheeks remain as red as tomatoes. I know. Still, that was super cute. I'm gonna be blushing for the rest of the week at this rate. Please don't. But yeah, if you ever want to invite me out somewhere for lunch or dinner, feel free to do it anytime. I get the feeling that we'll be dealing with each other for a long time to come, so we might as well grow to be close friends. As the dog starts hopping in place and the little kid at the candy shop cute giggles escaping her lips, you end up blushing a little yourself. Natalie definitely has some rather interesting ways of showing her excitement and not a lot of ways to hide it, it seems. Well, she is a Labrador. Aw, you're the best. I'm definitely gonna take you up on that offer sometime soon. We'll be talking over a call pretty often from now on. But I feel like interacting with her face to face will be even more awesome. Wow. I leave you alone for 5 minutes and you're already planning a date? You sure are a player, Isaac. Doc? Just like that, Mary appears right behind you, a smug grin on her cocky face. How did you do that? I didn't even hear you stop typing on that PC. Charisma isn't the only skill I maxed during my life, Isaac. When you reach my age, you're either dead or you've picked up a trick or two. Or you've picked up a trick or two that can prevent that. Neither of you were prepared for her to show up unannounced like that. So she takes great pleasure in laughing at your goofy expressions as you try to recompose yourselves. At least you try. Mary, it wasn't like that. Stop trying to make everything weird. He probably already thinks I'm a creep without your help. Come on, I never thought that. Keep it together. You'll only make her tease you more if you keep this up. Ha, looks like you do know me a little after all, Isaac. With the rooms returning to some semblance of calm, the scientist attempts to resume from where she left off. Anyway, if you guys are finished, we can... Dr. Shelley, are you in there? A stern, booming voice beckons Mary from beyond the door, making all of the three of you jump at once. It's intense, angry, distinctly masculine, and it doesn't sound at all like anyone you've ever met. However, something about its tone and urgency already has you on edge. Oh, sorry. You glance over at the two women before you, looking to them for answers. Natalie appears to be frightened beyond description all of a sudden, while Mary merely resigns herself to this defeated sigh. God, what does he want this time? I don't know, you think he's mad at me? I find that unlikely. He doesn't even know you exist half the time. Nah, most likely he has it out for me for some reason again. The cat turns to face you, an inquisitive gaze in her eyes. You're beginning to feel a tad uncomfortable at the clear lack of an explanation. You decide to take action now before you start getting irritated by it. I'm sorry, can someone please explain to me what's going on? Before you can utter another word, you hear the entrance to the room slamming wide open. Slamming! Slapping, immediately triggering your fight or flight instincts. The silhouette of a powerful, imposing dragon stands near the doorframe. His smooth, long tail swings wildly behind him as he enters, almost like a whip. He makes no eye contact with you as he grows closer, nor with the Labrador that hid herself behind you as soon as he appeared. No, his focus is entirely on the annoyed-looking feline standing behind you. His deep blue eyes are lodged straight into her like daggers, while his hands are firmly gripping a large tablet similar to Mary's. Good afternoon, Dr. Shelley. I see your office remains as messy as ever. I hope you don't mind me trampling over some of these papers scattered about during my visit. Perhaps that I remember asking you to pick up from the floor numerous times. The feline tries to reply as nonchalantly as she can, though you can tell that her tone doesn't match her true feelings. Well, if it isn't Jasper, for the record, I was going to do that later today. Jasper barely raises an eyebrow as he coldly and dryly replies, Dr. Shelley, I asked you that a month ago. The Drake's delivery of that line almost makes you laugh on its own, though you catch yourself just in time to avoid a second painful death. The death of cringe. The cat, on the other hand, seems entirely unfazed in spite of the chilling atmosphere that this Jasper summoned in the room. Ah, well, I've just been rather busy as of late is all. Couldn't find the time to get around to it until today. Right, busy. The Drake shoots a sharp gaze in her direction, which is somehow enough to send your heartbeat in a craze. You're not sure why, but you have a feeling that this man isn't here to praise or commend you as freely as the two women in the room did. I can see that. I know firsthand how busy this new synthetic of yours is keeping everyone here. If you were unsure of whether he hated you or not before, you're pretty sure now. The guy absolutely hates your guts, but why? As you're wondering that, you hear Mary speak up once again. So, to what do I owe this sudden, unexpected, and totally unscheduled visit? I know you're not very keen on seeing me unless you have to. I have a few reasons. One of them being, I wish to see the latest black hole in our finances with my own eyes. The Drake grows even closer, his eyes firmly lock into yours, or their representation on your visor anyway. You briefly think about retreating from the encroaching man, though you fear that you might trample Natalie in the process, except as you turn to look at her, you realize that she's nowhere to be seen. You soon spot her hiding in a corner of the room, as far away from the action as she can be. You don't blame her for taking her chance to run, though you can still wish though you still wish he was here with you braving the oncoming storm. Sometimes you can find your courage, not gonna lie when I think about it, when you have other people with you. Yeah. And speaking of, you find Jasper's angry muzzle mere inches away from your own right as you turn around. You must be the new synthetic, Isaac, correct? I've heard a lot of things about you. I see. You're a troublesome heap of trash is what you are. Do you have any idea of the trouble you caused this company because of your decision to leave the labs? Your reckless actions are beyond reproachable. The amount of work and money you've cost this establishment in the last few days is bigger than the yearly revenue of a small company. Do you even consider all this as you whimsically decided to return to your old life based on nothing more than this old cretin's advice? It feels like standing in the midst of a volcano's fiery eruption as the man throws insult after insult your way, somehow never losing his composure as he does so. You briefly consider giving him a piece of your mind as well. But a cold feeling in your gut convinces you to go about asking for clarifications in a more subtle way. I'm sorry, who are you again? The Drake scoffs at your query almost as if you'd asked him what 2 plus 2 equals 2. Really? You never told him? Would you believe that it never came up? Right, of course it didn't. I can see why you're a scientist and not the teacher. Very well, someone has to formally introduce the synthetic to the company and might as well be me. He briefly pauses as if to gather his energy, then resumes his explanation with the same coldness and distance in his voice that you're by now accustomed to. Sorry for the background noise. Wait a minute. Let me adjust my seat. I'm Jasper Morgan, CEO of Pandora Inc. These are my labs, those are my scientists, and you are my synthetic. He is the CEO? The realization startles you beyond relief. You're about to tell Mary's superior to F off, and it doesn't look like he'd have appreciated it nearly as much as she would have. You're thankful to yourself for staying your tongue in spite of the challenge. It doesn't look like the Drake has any intention of staying his. Don't think that means I find you endearing, however. Assuming you can even think. I'm merely reminding you of whose advice, whose orders you're really supposed to listen to. The reptile speaks to you with a certain contempt in his voice that you definitely didn't expect from someone in his position. After all, according to Mary, you're Pandora's greatest achievement, a miracle of science, and yet why does this man treat you so poorly? It certainly doesn't make asking further queries any easier, though you try to keep your resentment hidden inside for the time being. Pardon me, but I don't recall you giving me any advice in the past. In fact, I don't recall ever seeing you before either. That is correct. Truth be told, I trusted Mary to give you a good idea of the things you were and you weren't supposed to do in my stead. But like always, I made the grandiose leap of judgment in doing so. Grandiose? A grandois? I don't know. Allow me to rectify that mistake. The man takes another step towards you, but the cat quickly slips between you two. Listen, whatever you think you know, forget it. I give Isaac permission to return to his old life for a reason. It was a necessary step to take to show the public the merit in our work, as well as help us analyze new data that... Yes, I'm well aware of how you justified it to the owners. A load of nonsense, really, but it was enough to convince them to let you do as you please yet another time. Excuse me, who are the owners again? The Drake sighs as he shakes his head yet again, quite clearly upset all the questions you've been asking. You truly told him nothing, did you? Though I suppose it was my fault for believing that you did. The owners are the shareholders of Pandora Incorporated. They own all the capital that allows us to function, and they're in many ways responsible for our work here. Unfortunately, as of late, they've become more and more disinterested in their duties, preferring to delegate everything to the absolute buffoon that is a cat lady over there. Oh, please, you think this is something new? The owners have trusted me and my team long before you began working here. And with some luck, they'll realize the flaws in that decision long before they'll be gone. But let's return to us, shall we? I wasn't quite finished talking to you, and believe me, we have much to discuss. Okay. He makes as if to take another step, but once again, the cat refused to let him get any closer. If you have anything you wish to discuss with Isaac, you're free to mention it to me first. Jasper hesitates for a moment but ultimately relents. Very well, it would at least spare me the trouble of explaining everything to that glorified toaster this way. And besides, the android already knows what they did. You can feel a maelstrom of rage boiling underneath the man's voice, though the mere implication of his wording is enough to put you on edge. As you wonder just what in the world he could be referring to, the reptile begins fiddling with his tablet for a second before handing it over to the feline. I thought I'd come here personally to show you a neat little video that is currently making the rounds across the web. I figured you'd be interested given the subject of the recording. Aw, is it a puppy video? I love puppy videos. How did you know? It is, in fact, very much not a puppy video, unless of course you're talking about that untrained mutt over there. Yet more vile vitriol freely spewed against you, though you suspect that this time it is somehow far more justified. See for yourself. As the video begins to play, you hear the sounds of a crowd, of a commotion, of a train station. Oh no. You realize what is going on long before you hear your own voice shouting out loud in the background of the recording. You had completely forgotten about the incident from this morning and the many things you said and did as you tried to free yourself from the grasp of those two policemen. At the time, you felt as though your reaction was entirely justified, especially after what Mary told you a few days earlier. However, as you relive that dreadful experience, you begin to fear that things may not have been so simple after all. As the video continues to play in Mary's hands, you hear Jasper address you once again. I think this footage needs no further comment. I do not know to what extent you comprehend the consequences of your actions, Synthetic, but I trust even you can understand the problem here. You openly rebelled, insulted and borderline assaulted two officers of the law, in broad daylight no less. Do you have any idea of what you just did? Of what you just caused? You try to explain yourself in spite of the overwhelming evidence against you. I know the police department likely has it out for me by now, but for you, who said anything about you? The Drake grimly chuckles as his voice grows ever louder. I'm talking about the company, our brand, our reputation, everything. That's what you threaten with your reckless actions, not yourself. I couldn't care less if those idiots compacted you into trash and left you to rot in a ditch somewhere, but that's not who the government's lackeys will come for. No, they'll be coming after us. They'll be coming for us. Legal battles for tens of thousands of billions of dollars, one after another. I can already imagine the headache. The reptile suddenly turns to face the feline once again, choosing to forgo his rage in favor of pure unbridled disdain. Needless to say, this is likely enough to get your entire project shut down, Dr. Shelley. If the people out there were suspicious of the danger your synthetics posed to the world before, now they have every reason to be certain of it. Do you finally comprehend the situation, Doctor Dearest, or are you going to be stubborn until the end? Damn, this guy's rough. This is what happens when you let an overhyped text-to-speech program act freely without consequences, when they let you act freely without consequence. The cat remains silent as she finishes watching the video. She's definitely pondering something in that head of hers, though neither you nor the reptile can fathom at what it could be. However, eventually... Are you finished? Honestly, you're making a much bigger deal of this thing than it really deserves to be. Mary's careless words and cocky attitude manage to stun the Drake for a second, though he quickly recovers. Excuse me? Come on, you got all that from a 10-minute video of a synthetic of an American righteously standing up to an oppressive police force? Perhaps it's about time you brought a pair of glasses. Have you finally lost your mind? No, I'm just reading the comments. The woman hands the tablet back to its owner, who begins scrolling through the comments at supersonic speed while she further explains her point. You'll find that most of the people who saw the video, including those who uploaded it in the first place, are rather supportive of our little android's actions. Sure, there's a sizable minority that isn't quite as exuberating, but those are always to be expected and not at all representative of the whole situation. The younger demographics especially are among the most vocal about their support for Isaac's actions, though I suspect the older ones won't take long to be convinced to join them. I see. Jasper puts down the tablet and begins to wonder about something, muttering words under his breath that not even you can pick up. It's not quite enough to fully convince everyone of our synthetics humanity, but I believe this will be great advertising for a nascent project. The Drake audibly scoffs upon hearing the feline's thoughts. Free advertising, of course. I'm sure our lawyers will be very glad that we'll be spending our money on them instead of our PR team. After all, it doesn't matter if the people somehow wound up to like that android if the government decides to crack down on this whole operation, and I find little reason to believe that they won't. I beg to disagree. Whoa. Again, the Drake raises about an eyebrow in his voice as his patience grows thinner. Surely you jest, that thing literally disregarded the orders of an officer, insulted them to their face, tossed them around like they were rag dolls. The people might be quick to forgive such crimes, but the authorities surely will not. Mary doesn't even flinch as she dismisses Jasper's entire point as if it were a temper tantrum. Simply put, I find it very hard to believe that Isaac could be convicted of those crimes. Then perhaps you ought to transition to a new brain, because that one's clearly not working. The evidence is as clear as day. Evidence is say, why, there's plenty of that, of course, for a crime our synthetic here cannot currently commit. Both you and the large man struggle to understand what in the world the cat could possibly be talking about. Care to explain why, or is that yet another of your groundless opinions? That's strange. I thought I sent you a memo about that already some time ago. Ah, well. The cat gives the Labrador in the corner of the room a coy smile to which the latter quietly nods. Natalie swiftly heads to Mary's desk, picks up a handful of documents among many, then personally hands it to Jasper, never once daring to look him in the eyes as she does so. As she returns to her neat little hiding spot, the reptile already hard at working analyzing the papers, Mary briefly explains the contents of those files. These are the findings of our internal law team, whom I tasked to analyze the current normative environment surrounding synthetics, as well as a couple of articles detailing the last few Congress debates on our technology. As you're well aware, our current objective here at the labs is to find definite proof that our synthetics are living beings with the same intellect and rights as any other human. However, it's not only us who'd like to be certain of that. Congress is currently debating that very question as we speak, with no clear answer yet in sight. We suspect these discussions will continue for the next few months, at the very least possibly until next year. They're debating on whether I'm a human or not. The idea that your humanity or lack thereof could be decided by a bunch of powerful people simply like that is just so grim. You wouldn't know how else to describe this feeling. Noticing your discomfort, Mary is quick to explain herself further. As far as the law is concerned, yes, it's a rather touchy subject, you know. The current law system was built around humans, which have certain rights and duties inherent to them due to their human status. It is because of this status that they can be prosecuted under the law, for example. After all, it'd be ridiculous to indict a pet cat for scratching their owner, or a car because its engine is somewhat busted all of a sudden. To prosecute you for a crime that you supposedly committed would be the same thing as admitting that you are on the same cognitive level as a human being, an idea that many of those politicians are vehemently opposed to. It doesn't take you long enough to figure out what a scientist is trying to hint at, in spite of how unbelievable the mere thought of it is. So you're saying I can't commit crimes right now? So yeah, I'll end this video right here. I'll be seeing you in the next episode of No More Future. If you're new to this channel, please feel free to subscribe, like, comment, and share it to your friends. Stay safe, everybody. Good luck, and I'll be seeing you later, I guess, or soon.